My landlord came to fix the leak, but stayed for the night. A true infidelity story. I never thought a leaky ceiling would turn into something that would completely shake my relationship, and my trust, down to its core. It started out like any other annoying apartment problem. Water had started dripping steadily from the corner of our bedroom ceiling, right above the dresser. At first, I thought it was just the rain hitting something odd on the roof, but within a couple of days, it got worse. I let my landlord know, expecting a quick visit, maybe a little patch-up work, and that would be it. But I had no idea that what was coming would be more than just a repair job. It would open up secrets I never expected to uncover. My boyfriend and I had been living in that apartment for almost a year. Things had been good, mostly. Comfortable, you know. Not perfect, but steady. We both worked a lot, didn't always have time for long conversations or weekend plans, but there was love, or so I thought. That's why I didn't really think much of it when I had to head out the same morning my landlord was scheduled to drop by and take a look at the leak. My boyfriend had the day off, so I asked him to let the landlord in and keep an eye on things while the ceiling got checked. Simple. Routine. Nothing strange about that. But when I got home that evening, something just felt off. The living room smelled faintly like someone had cooked, though neither of us had mentioned making dinner. The tools the landlord brought were still sitting neatly in the hallway, but the bedroom door was closed and locked. We never locked doors inside the apartment. I called out a few times, expecting to hear either my boyfriend or the landlord answer back, but there was silence. Then I heard a soft thud behind the bedroom door and some muffled voices. That's when my stomach dropped. I stood there frozen, trying to piece together what could possibly be happening. Why was the bedroom door locked? Why were there voices inside? And why did one of them sound like the landlord? I didn't want to believe the thoughts racing through my mind. Maybe they were just talking. Maybe something weird happened with the ceiling. Maybe I was overthinking. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. I knocked once, waited, then again, harder. Finally, after what felt like forever, the door opened just a crack. My boyfriend stood there, shirtless, looking like he had just woken up from a nap, or something else entirely. Behind him, I caught a glimpse of someone else trying to hide behind the bathroom door. And it wasn't hard to recognize the landlord's shoes sitting right next to the bed. That was the moment everything shifted. What had started as a minor inconvenience, a leaking ceiling, was now the start of something much deeper. Something I wasn't ready for. And what I found out next changed everything. Let me tell you exactly what happened that night. I stood in the hallway, completely frozen, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. My boyfriend's expression was blank, like he was caught off guard but trying to act normal. I asked him what was going on, why the door was locked, and where the landlord was. He mumbled something about the leak being worse than expected and that they had to pull down part of the ceiling. But none of that explained why the landlord's shoes were by our bed. Or why he looked nervous. I pushed past him, pretending I was just checking the damage, and that's when I saw it. The sheets on our bed were rumpled like someone had been lying there. And the bathroom door was almost shut, but not quite. I caught a glimpse of a shirt hanging over the doorknob, definitely not my boyfriend's. My heart was pounding. Everything in me wanted to storm in there and demand answers, but I didn't. Not yet. I felt like if I waited just a little longer, I'd catch them in the middle of whatever it was they were trying to cover up. I walked back out into the living room, pretending to grab my bag, but I was listening closely. I heard whispers, low, hurried. Then the bathroom door creaked open. I didn't turn around, but I caught the reflection in the hallway mirror. The landlord. Shirt on now, hair slightly wet, like he'd just splashed water on his face to clean up. He walked right past me without saying a word, didn't even make eye contact. Just a quiet, awkward, "All right, I'll come back tomorrow to finish up," and then he was gone. That night, I didn't sleep. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling that still hadn't been fixed, running everything through my head. My boyfriend acted like nothing was wrong. He even tried to joke about the mess the landlord left behind, saying, "He's not the best handyman, huh?" But I wasn't laughing. I was trying to figure out if I had missed the signs all along. If this was the first time, or just the first time I noticed. Over the next few days, things got even weirder. My boyfriend kept getting texts he wouldn't open around me. The landlord suddenly became extra helpful, offering to check other parts of the apartment, calling late in the evening to follow up. And the tension between them when they were in the same room? You could cut it with a knife. Something was definitely going on. I could feel it. I just didn't know how deep it went, yet. I started paying closer attention after that night. Not because I wanted to catch anyone doing something wrong, but because I needed to know the truth. Things that used to seem normal suddenly felt suspicious. My boyfriend, who used to leave his phone lying around without a second thought, now kept it with him at all times. Even in the shower. He'd turn the screen away when texting and always said it was just work stuff whenever I asked. But it didn't feel like work stuff. It felt like secrets. One night, a few days later, I came home from a late shift and saw his jacket thrown over the couch. The living room light was still on. I figured he'd fallen asleep watching something, but when I walked in, he wasn't there. I heard a soft voice coming from the balcony. I peeked out and saw him talking on the phone, pacing slowly. I couldn't hear much, but I caught a few words. He was telling someone that he couldn't talk like this anymore, and that it was getting too risky. My heart dropped. I didn't say anything then. I went back into the hallway and pretended I'd just come in. He hung up fast and acted like nothing had happened. Meanwhile, the landlord was becoming more present than ever. He'd show up unannounced, knocking on the door with some excuse about needing to check the pipes or the water pressure. Sometimes, he'd stay longer than necessary, chatting with my boyfriend like they were old friends. The weird thing? They were never that close before. Just quick chats when paying rent or dealing with repairs. Now it felt like there was something unspoken between them, something they both kept from me. To add to the confusion, one of my neighbors pulled me aside in the hallway one afternoon. She said, "Hey, I saw your landlord leaving your place last week. Kind of late, wasn't it?" I nodded, pretending I already knew. But I didn't. I hadn't been home that night. My boyfriend had told me he was going to bed early. I thanked her and walked away, heart pounding again. If people outside our apartment were noticing things, how much was really happening behind my back? Every moment felt like walking on glass. The trust one thought I had was cracking more each day. I still hadn't confronted either of them. I was trying to be sure. But the silence between us was becoming louder than any words. Something was unraveling. I just didn't know how far it would go. I couldn't take the guessing anymore. Every day I came home, I felt like I was walking into someone else's life, like I was the outsider in my own apartment. The place where I used to feel safe now felt full of shadows. The leak that started this whole mess had been patched up, but the damage went way beyond the ceiling. It was the looks they shared when they thought I wasn't watching. The way my boyfriend suddenly seemed too quiet, too polite, too careful. Even when we sat on the couch together, it felt like there was an invisible wall between us. One evening, I decided to test something. I told my boyfriend I had plans with a friend across town and wouldn't be back until late. I even packed a bag to make it look real. But instead, I parked a few blocks away and waited. I know it sounds crazy, but I needed to see for myself. An hour passed. Then 2. And right when I thought maybe I'd made a mistake, he showed up. The landlord. He walked right up to our building like he'd done it 100 times. No toolbox. No call ahead. He didn't even knock. He used a spare key. I waited another 10 minutes before going back in. My hands were shaking the whole time. When I reached the apartment, I didn't even bother being quiet. I wanted them to know I was there. I opened the door slowly, and at first, everything looked normal. Lights dimmed. TV on. Then I heard movement in the bedroom. I walked straight down the hall, heart racing so loud I could barely hear anything else. I reached for the doorknob, but it was locked again. That same lock. The one that had started this feeling weeks ago. I knocked once. No answer. I knocked again, harder this time. Silence. Then, footsteps. 2 sets. And then a voice, my boyfriend's, telling me to hold on a second. That was the second I knew. There was no more guessing. No more doubting. Whatever they were doing it behind that locked door. In my apartment. While I waited outside, shaking. I stepped back and stared at the door, breathing hard. I didn't know what I was going to do next. But I knew I couldn't keep pretending nothing was happening. Something was about to come out, and it was going to change everything. I didn't leave the hallway. I stood there, staring at the locked door, heart pounding so hard it echoed in my ears. Then it opened, just a crack, and my boyfriend stepped out, again shirtless, trying to act casual like before. But this time, there was no hiding the panic in his eyes. Behind him, the landlord was out of sight, but I saw a flash of movement. They were scrambling. I knew it. I didn't say anything. I just looked at him. He asked why I was back so early, his voice shaky, like he already knew the answer. I said I forgot something, but my tone must have said everything I wasn't ready to. He stood there for a second like he wanted to explain, or lie, or maybe even tell the truth, but nothing came out. Just silence. Then, out of nowhere, the landlord appeared behind him. Fully dressed this time. Calm. Too calm. I was just checking the leak again, he said, like that would make sense to anyone. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was such a ridiculous lie. I didn't even argue. I just turned around and walked out. But here's where things got worse, way worse. The next morning, I got a message from an unknown number. No name. Just a photo. A blurry screenshot of what looked like a camera feed. It was of our apartment, our living room to be exact, and in it, clear as day, were my boyfriend and the landlord. The photo was timestamped from a week ago. I stared at it, trying to understand what I was even looking at. Who sent it? Why? More messages followed. Short texts. No names. Just warnings. You don't know the full story. He's been there before. You just didn't see it. Check behind the TV. I didn't know whether to be scared or furious. But I checked. I moved the TV stand, and behind it, barely noticeable, was a tiny black device tucked between the cords. A hidden camera. My legs nearly gave out. Someone had been watching us. Recording. I didn't know for how long. Or who else had seen what. I thought the betrayal had come from the people I trusted, my boyfriend and the landlord, but now, it felt like there was someone else involved. Someone watching from the outside. Someone who knew more than I did. The messages kept coming that day. They didn't ask for money. They didn't threaten me directly. They just kept dropping breadcrumbs. My mind spiraled. What if it wasn't just about cheating? What if something bigger was happening? Something they were both a part of? Why was my apartment under surveillance? Who put that camera there, and how many more were hidden? That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat on the couch, phone in hand, waiting for another message. Something told me the worst part wasn't over yet. It was just beginning. I couldn't take it anymore. Between the strange messages, the hidden camera, and the lies inside my own home, I was done playing quiet. I called both of them, the landlord and my boyfriend, and told them to meet me in the apartment that evening. No excuses. I didn't tell them why. I wanted to see how they'd act when they walked in, not knowing what I knew. I spent the whole day staring at that little device, wondering how long it had been there. Wondering if this whole thing had been planned from the start. They showed up, minutes apart. My boyfriend looked nervous, eyes darting everywhere like he expected something bad. The landlord walked in more confidently, arms crossed, like nothing could touch him. I didn't even waste time. I pointed straight at the wall behind the TV and asked, "Who put it there?" Both of them froze. The room was silent. My boyfriend looked at me, confused, or pretending to be. But the landlord, his expression didn't change. He just looked at me and said, "You were never supposed to find that." That's when it hit me. It wasn't just about infidelity. This had gone further. I asked again, who was watching? Who had access to this apartment when I wasn't around? And finally, the truth came out. The landlord confessed that he'd installed the camera months ago. At first, he said, to monitor the ceiling damage, but that was clearly a lie. He admitted it had been left running. He tried to spin it, saying it wasn't about spying, that it was just to make sure things were okay when no one was home. But I wasn't buying it. Not after the messages I'd received. And that's when my boyfriend stepped in, looking more guilty than I'd ever seen him. He said he knew about the camera, but only found out recently. And instead of telling me, he kept quiet. Because he was using it too. Turns out, he and the landlord had been involved for longer than I thought. Quietly, behind my back, they'd started something months ago. The camera became a way to keep things hidden, but it also caught more than they realized. Someone else had tapped into it. Someone else had been watching everything. And that someone wasn't me. I turned the phone around and showed them the messages. The photos. The threats. That's when they both lost the fake calm. Because whoever was behind the messages knew things none of us had said out loud. They knew times, movements, details that hadn't been recorded on the one camera I found. And then, just as I was about to confront them with one final demand, to get out and leave me the hell alone, my phone buzzed again. One last message. "You're not the only one being watched." I looked around the apartment. Suddenly, every wall, every outlet, every mirror felt suspicious. The betrayal had been personal, but now, it was something else entirely. The message haunted me. "You're not the only one being watched." It was like a final reminder that none of this was ever really under my control. For days after, I tore through the apartment, searching every corner, every plug, every smoke detector. I found 2 more hidden devices, one behind the bookshelf and another inside a light fixture near the bedroom. I couldn't believe I had lived like this, under someone else's eyes, with no idea. I filed a police report immediately. I turned over everything, the camera, the screenshots, the texts. The officers took it seriously. They told me it looked like more than just a case of illegal surveillance. It might be connected to other tenants in the building. That was when everything really started to make sense. The landlord had been using hidden cameras not just in my apartment, but possibly in others too. He had access, and no one questioned it. He used his role as an excuse to be everywhere, to let himself in whenever he wanted. As for my boyfriend, well, that ended the moment the truth came out. He tried to reach out, tried to explain, but there was nothing left to say. He wasn't just unfaithful. He had been complicit in keeping me in the dark, knowing something wasn't right, and still choosing to protect the lie. I blocked him and packed my things within the week. I didn't even wait for the police investigation to finish. I just needed out. I moved into a new place, different side of the city, new locks, new everything. For the first time in months, I started to breathe again. No more second guessing, no more looking over my shoulder wondering if someone was watching me from behind the walls. It was quiet, but the kind of quiet that felt safe. Eventually, I heard from one of the other tenants in the old building. They'd been contacted by police too. Turns out, the landlord had been under investigation for a while. I wasn't the first person to find a hidden camera, but I might have been the one who finally forced the truth out into the open. My report helped push the case forward. Last I heard, he'd been arrested and was facing charges. Looking back, the whole thing feels unreal. What started as a small leak turned into the unraveling of everything I thought I trusted, my home, my relationship, my sense of safety. But it also reminded me to never ignore my instincts. When something feels off, it probably is. And sometimes, the betrayal we fear most is right there in front of us, hiding in plain sight. Now, every time I close my front door, I double-check the locks. Not because I'm afraid, but because I've learned the hard way. Sometimes the real danger isn't what breaks in, but what's already inside. Thanks for listening to my story. End movie camera title: My landlord came to fix the leak, but stayed for the night. A true infidelity story. Woman detective broken heart. Pushpin description: welcome to a story that starts with a simple leak in the ceiling, and ends with secrets hidden behind walls, cameras, and betrayal that no one saw coming. This true infidelity story will keep you hooked from the very first second. What happens when the people you trust the most turn out to be hiding the biggest secrets of all? Magnifying glass tilted left broken heart. In this emotional and suspense-filled YouTube video, you'll experience a first-hand account of a woman whose life took a shocking turn when her landlord came to fix a leak, and never left. As small signs turned into major red flags, and trust turned into suspicion, the truth slowly unraveled, and what she discovered left her shaken to her core. Mobile phone locked with key. This is not just a story of cheating, it's a story about manipulation, surveillance, and finding strength in the middle of betrayal. If you've ever questioned someone's loyalty, felt the sting of dishonesty, or doubted your own instincts, this story is for you. Sparkles what you'll experience in this story: a shocking real-life story of betrayal and cheating, broken heart, suspenseful storytelling with emotional depth, crying face, hidden cameras and secrets behind closed doors, movie camera locked, the emotional journey of discovery, heartbreak, and strength, flexed biceps, a twist that will leave you speechless at the end, brain high voltage directed keywords: true infidelity story, cheating story, landlord cheating, real-life betrayal story, storytime cheating, emotional breakup, trust issues in relationship, hidden camera. Caught cheating, landlord scandal, relationship red flags, storytime drama, shocking real story, true story with twist, YouTube storytime, betrayal caught on camera, cheating partner, storytime true story, emotional cheating story, true relationship drama, girlfriend storytime, breakup twist, suspenseful YouTube story, viral storytime, caught cheating twist, fire. Why you should watch. You'll relate to the emotional highs and lows. You'll be shocked by how deep the betrayal goes. You'll walk away with a new perspective on trust and instinct. You'll be glued to the screen till the very last second. Brain, sometimes the people you live with are the ones you know the least. Bell, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more real-life story times that will keep you thinking long after the video ends. Speech balloon, share your thoughts below. Have you ever trusted someone who betrayed you? What would you do if you found a hidden camera in your home? Your voice matters. Loudspeakers, share this video with someone who needs to hear this story today. Backhand index pointing down, stay connected. Speech balloon, comment your thoughts, thumbs up, like the video if it shook you, link, share it with your friends, inbox tray, subscribe for more real stories. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, trust your gut, and never ignore the signs. Red heart adhesive bandage, magnifying glass tilted right, hashtag infidelity, hashtag storytime, hashtag true betrayal story, hashtag relationship drama, hashtag caught cheating, hashtag true story, hashtag storytime cheating, hashtag cheating exposed, hashtag emotional story, hashtag viral story, hashtag suspense storytime, hashtag landlord scandal, hashtag hidden truths, hashtag real relationship story. White heavy checkmark, 100 optimized YouTube tags, safe plus trending plus relevant, true story, cheating story, infidelity story, true infidelity story, landlord cheating, relationship drama, caught cheating, betrayal story, emotional story, breakup story, cheating boyfriend, cheating girlfriend, real story, shocking story time, cheating twist, cheating partner, hidden camera story, real life drama, relationship betrayal, cheating caught, breakup drama, storytime cheating, exposed cheating, trust issues, cheating scandal, suspicious partner, storytime true, suspense storytime, cheating proof, landlord scandal, dramatic breakup, relationship secrets, trust broken, storytime real, betrayal caught, hidden camera drama, emotional cheating, YouTube storytime, viral storytime. Shocking betrayal, true breakup story, caught on camera, partner betrayal, red flag relationship, emotional betrayal, girlfriend cheated, boyfriend cheated, cheating experience, cheating exposed, painful breakup, shocking truth, cheating signs, emotional twist, trust issues in love, heartbreaking story, storytime emotional, toxic love story, apartment drama, unexpected betrayal, live betrayal, shocking confession. Storytime suspense, cheating in relationships, broken relationship, caught red-handed, caught with landlord, cheating roommate, private camera caught, landlord truth, real relationship story, drama in real life, dramatic infidelity, relationship lesson, heartbreaking truth, cheating storytime, unfaithful partner, live cheating, camera caught truth, breakup story, confronting cheater, cheating confession, heartbreaking betrayal, cheating secrets, betrayal twist, life lesson story, cheating surveillance, romantic betrayal, storytime heartbreak, viral breakup story, dark side of love, emotional video, cheating discovery, hidden camera twist, betrayal exposed, cheating trap, emotional cheating journey artist palette AI photo prompt, in English, optimal for realism, a realistic portrait of a 30-year-old American woman standing in a dimly lit apartment, looking anxious and alert. She has light brown hair tied loosely, wearing a simple casual sweater and jeans. Soft golden light from a floor lamp casts dramatic shadows on her face. Her eyes are slightly red, as if she's been crying, and she's holding a smartphone in her hand, displaying a message. The mood is suspenseful and emotional. Background shows a living room wall with subtle shadows, adding to the tension. Cinematic lighting, realistic textures, shallow depth of field, 4K resolution, natural color grading. 5.